All right, welcome to the Spoiler Kings Movie Review Podcast. My name is Tim Kramer. I'm with Will, Peppa MD. How you doing, man?
What's up? Doing pretty good, man.
Yeah.
How you doing?
So, not too bad. Not too bad. A pretty good weekend. It's kind of a weird weather in Chicago, so everything's like rainy and cold and stuff. So, supposed to be nice for Halloween, which is pretty good coming up.
That's true.
So I'm happy about that. But I was more happy that the movie finally came out. It was supposed to come out like early 2020, and it got postponed because every movie that's out right now got postponed like crazy.
Damn, another one to the list, huh?
And we're talking about Dune, the new Dune movie. That's kind of, I don't know if it counts as a remake or just because they've done it before in 1984. But this one is a little bit more accurate to the book. It's a little different than what the last movie was, but it's also based off the book too. They got here, like, aha, there.
Hey,
So
that's dope.
I love it. Frank Herbert. So you got the sands, you got the worm.
That's very movie accurate, awesome. If you ask me.
Yeah, exactly. Got the little angry eyes and everything. And
then pretty much, I can't even show. Look at, you see SpongeBob right there.
Oh yeah,
that's like the main character, and then and that's his
Paul.
That's his mom. Yeah, it's Paul, and that's
Jessica.
And Jessica, boom.
Yeah,
I thought it was fitting.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I saw you put that up, and I'm like, that's funny. Cool, man. But yeah, you just want to watch the trailer, and we'll do a quick breakdown.
Yeah, let's see what's going on.
Yeah. All right. So while that's going, we'll talk about the movie a little bit. So this movie revolves around Paul Atreides. He's a brilliant and gifted young man born into a great destiny beyond his understanding. He must travel to the most dangerous planet in the universe, which is Arrakis, to ensure the future of his family and his people. And Arrakis is like the Dune sand planet, But as forces explode into conflict over the planet's exclusive supply of the most precious resource in existence, which is called spice, only those who can conquer their own fear will survive. And feel that other, like we were talking about yesterday, fear is the mind killer. Yeah, super cool. But yeah, spice is the big thing in this movie. It's kind of like a drug, but also allows the Space Guild, they're called, which you saw them really quick in the beginning of the movie, but allows them to travel and make very quick predictions in traveling. So and there's a quick breakdown in this universe, which they really didn't talk about yet, is they don't like robots. So there's a big robot uprising at some point in the history, and in order to get rid of robots, they kind of got rid of a lot of AI and stuff like that. So to replace that, there's these certain race that could get the spice, and they are able to make these calculations like super quick and crazy in their head and be able to navigate the galaxy, So they're kind of like your navigation system, but they're actual, I won't say human, but they're alive. They're just not a robot.
Okay.
So there's a little backstory with that, why, because you see a lot of this movie and you're like, oh, where's the robots? Where's this? Where's that? You expect a lot of like stuff like that, and you really don't. You get a lot of hand-to-hand combat. You don't get that many guns. You get a lot of sword fight. And there's a reason for a lot of that, which is pretty cool. I mean, besides it just looking cool, because I think sword fights are always better than gunfights, in my opinion. Like at least to watch.
Mm-hmm. So more theatrical, It's just
the
whole choreography, fights.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, definitely. Close this up. But yeah, man. I mean, there's so much backstory to this whole movie. With everything with it. So I'm a big fan of the books and the movies. My grandfather kind of got me into it. So I watched the original one when I was pretty young, and I thought it was really cool, even though it was a sloppy, clunky mess of a movie now. But it's got its cult kind of following in it. Yeah. So a little quick breakdown with it. And I know when we were talking the other day about it, I was like, if you got any questions, ask me. So
I have a few
it does
questions
get a
for
little,
you.
yeah. So
But we'll get to that in a second. Well, okay,
Yeah, okay.
so one of my questions, let me just right off the bat, I guess was, what is spice? And you kind of already answered that. And then my next question is, with this spice, like it has nothing to do with food, right? It's nothing to do with like what we think spice is. It's a completely different.
Yeah, it's a drug. It's
drug.
basically a drug. Yeah, so it makes you hallucinate. But for the space guild people, it allows them to like kind of get in a mindset where they can make these crazy like navigation math and stuff like that, so they can like travel the galaxy. But yeah, it's basically a drug.
Okay.
Yeah.
My follow-up question to that is, in the movie, we see a few times where the main character Paul, he's a young kid, it seems like he has visions of like the future even. And does that mean he took spice to see where he was going? Like, from kind of piggybacking off of what you just said, was he doing spice?
Well, he's kind of sensitive to spice. I think they even say that in the movie, which is probably a good way to describe it. I forgot how they describe it in the book, but yeah, the same way that spice allows the spacing guild to figure things out quick in their head, like, or I don't say in their head, but it allows them to figure things out really, really, really quick. It kind of has like a similar effect with him because of the powers that he has. You know what I mean? So he's able to like kind of hallucinate, but also kind of go with his powers.
Okay. So those experiences where he was experiencing visions was from his own powers internally, not anything affected from the spice, right? He didn't take spice.
He did take some spice, like the natural, like raw floating in the air. But it just increased his powers. It didn't like.
Okay. I get it.
But then the whole thing with the movie is like they kind of make you think like, oh, did he just hallucinate that because of the drug or stuff like that? But it's basically like it enhanced his powers more, So like whenever the two times I think in the movies where he got exposed to spice, he had very, very, very vivid vision. But that's part of his power is like seeing different things. We'll get into that in a little bit. I don't want to spoil too much right off the bat.
Sure.
But yeah, his visions are really like increased when he was on the spice.
Okay.
Why cool. he freaks the hell out. So
I'm just glad we got that out of the way, because that's something that kind of like, so this is one of those kind of movies where if you miss a second, if you blink, you missed the whole scene. You missed a whole like chunk of the storyline, of the big picture, if you will. So so when I'm watching this movie, by the way, I watched it in pieces, which was, I don't recommend. Luckily, it was on HBO Max, so I was able to do something like this. But by doing that, I'd have to like rewatch some overlap stuff that I already seen, just so I could like continue on to the story. Because, and then like the past couple days, I've been super sleepy, even right now. But I'm actually okay. Excuse me. I'm actually okay right now, sleep wise. I'm surviving. But like a few times in the movie, like a lot's going on, and it's such a good movie. Good movies make me fall asleep. So this is one of those that I had to fight my eyes from getting close. And then when that did happen, I had to rewind and be like, okay, this will happen. Okay, cool. And then resume where I was, watching.
The one thing I did like in this one, because I think they did it in the old 1984 version as well, but this one they explain things a lot better. They left things kind of like they didn't explain certain things that I think they're gonna do in part 2, which already got announced. Like, so they already announced a part 2. So that's not really a spoiler. Right in the beginning of the movie, it says Dune, and then under it part 1. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, at least it lets you know right off the bat that it's not gonna finish, Yeah. So I was like, that's pretty good. And then but yeah, so I think that there's a lot more stuff that they're gonna explain in part 2, which I really, really think they will. But one thing is like they explained like spice and pretty good, but it was really quick. Right in the beginning of the movie, they explained it, So So if you miss that, there's like you're like, you're like the whole time you're like, wait, what? I think you kind of figure it out a little bit. You're like, oh yeah, it's kind of some kind of drug or it's important and stuff like that. But yeah, they did a pretty good job with explaining certain things, and certain things they just like didn't even bother.
But it wasn't bad. It wasn't like, even when they did brush past over certain things, like I felt like I wasn't lingering on those missing facts. I was just like, okay, cool, what's happening next? So
yeah,
I didn't mind.
That was one thing for me. What I really liked was, I don't know if it didn't give you time to really process things, because it was just so much happening. It was like one and another and another and another, and you're just like, damn, So it could be rough if you're not paying attention, or if you're, like you said, like you're watching in parts. You can easily forget what happened 5 minutes ago, because it seems like it happened a while ago. But it is a 2.5 hour movie, which could be a lot for me. For me, the first time I watched this one, I was just like, I looked at the clock. I'm like, holy crap, that's the time. I'm like, how long was this movie? And I looked, and it for me, it didn't feel like 2.5 hours, because it was just like, it just was pretty well paced, and everything was well done for me. I liked it. But yeah, what was some other things that you liked about the movie?
So, I liked a lot of the. I know we talked about this even off camera, but I kind of liked some of the technology they kind of incorporated. They didn't have to explain it. It was just like, oh, that's a thing, that's a thing, that's a thing. So, like for an example, one of the flying vehicles that they use, I don't even know what to call it. I think I forgot the term. It looks like a goddamn dragonfly, and that's crazy to even think about. To make that a giant dragonfly looking thing that you can fly into, I thought that was amazing. And when I say dragonfly, right, the wings of the, I'm gonna say vehicle, you can say plane, I guess, but the wings flapped like a freaking dragonfly. I thought that was cool. I liked for a lot of the movie, and it just made me laugh every time I would see it. I kept seeing Paul with like what I thought was his hair in his face, looking like this, and the whole time I'm thinking like, Paul, just wipe the hair down, just wipe it down, dude. And I find out later, because I'm watching on a little ass screen. I'm watching HBO Max, so I didn't really, on my phone. So I didn't realize that it was some sort of like breathing mechanism, and it was put on both. I can't reach it, but it was put on both like nostrils. And I noticed that his mom was wearing it as well, and I think almost everyone. Oh, I guess another question for you is that to help him breathe? Was that the thing to help him breathe? I don't think it is, because
I don't think it's to help them breathe. I think it takes whatever moisture that they're breathing out to help, because the whole suit converts whatever sweat or body waste fluids they have, turns it into water that they can drink. And I guess there's like a little straw in the mask or something like that they said.
Okay.
But I mean, that's why I got the book, because I haven't read it in a while. And when I read it, I was young, and it's really a difficult read, because a lot of the words they make up these really crazy words, and then they give like Paul, Jessica, Duncan, Idaho. You're like, what? But but that's just how Herbert did it. But I forgot if it took their moisture, or if it was more of a filter. I think it took whatever, like when they were breathing out, it kind of helped recycle that and stuff like that. But
I did see in one of the fighting scenes, I'm not going to say which one exactly just yet. We'll get to that in just a little bit. I noticed that the piece that was like going to the nose, like it would get like knocked off. And so at those moments, that's why I kind of knew it wasn't for breathing, but I just wanted more clarification. As I was like, oh, they're not dying immediately. Like I thought that was the air supply or something, but no, that wasn't the case. Some of these things that I seen in the movie, I just kind of like overthought it and was thinking more of whatever it was. But really, the movie's, it's got simple things, technologies, simple concepts, but they make it extravagant in this movie. Like CGI off the hook.
Oh man, I thought the CGI was super good. I thought the music. So Hans Zimmer did the music for it, and he's obviously like a legend, like he just, and that's how I saw it initially on Twitter today. So as of recording this, they just announced it today, and I saw Hans Zimmer is like, oh, good thing we're making another one. I got a lot more music in my head or something along those. I'm like, what? And then I looked up, I'm like, holy crap. And then everyone, Bautista, Timothée Chalamet, whatever his name is, they all like, hey, yeah, we're getting the second one. So I was like, oh yeah, cool. So I was kind of happy about that. But yeah,
I did enjoy the cast. So we had some kind of big stars in here. You mentioned Bautista. He did great. He didn't have like a big impact on the movie, but he did his thing for sure. Zendaya had only 5 minutes. 7 minutes. Thank you. 7 minutes of screen time. And even then, her being on screen like really set the tone for what was going to happen next. She like talks, she has a conversation with Paul, and like, man, I think I know why she was casted for this, by the way. She has the same kind of like attitude that she did in like Spider-Man when she was just doubting or kind of goofing on Peter Parker, where she's like, yeah, like you ain't shit, like whatever, like she just has this attitude, but she executes it so well. So when she kind of used that in here, I was like, oh, like way to go, because whatever she said had me thinking one thing, and then at the very end of the movie, which we'll talk about, like I said, in just a hot second, it flips into something that I didn't even know was going to happen. So she did great for her 7 minutes on screen. She did great. What'd you like about
the 7 minutes? The 7 minutes on it, I think because I mean, most of the 7 minutes are visions, so you actually don't meet the actual character, Chani, I think her name is. You don't meet her until like right at the very, very end. You actually, don't actually meet her, because all before that, she's like in a gown and like very, and like an angel kind of thing and stuff like that. But yeah, she's gonna be huge in the second part. Because I mean, even in the story, it's split between his old family and his new family, kind of style. And I heard a lot of people knocking on where it ended, and I thought where it ended was pretty good, because it ended where his next part of his journey is gonna start. So it's like, everything that happened with his family happened, and now he's on to the next part of it all. But I mean, dude, the cast was insane. Oscar Isaac sold every single scene he was in. He wasn't in a lot, but the ones he was in, he's just a great actor. Holy shit! And he played Leto Atreides, so he played Paul's dad. And man, he was just so good, just I don't know. I just loved it. Jason Momoa, I thought was like this was perfect for him. It's like, cool, you're gonna play like a little like hot shot, like like military guy, but like you're also like you respect these guys, and I thought it was really good fit for him. And Josh Brolin as Gurney Halleck was awesome. Was so good. It was just oof, and the same thing with Bautista. He played Galso, which he kind of plays a little bit of a bigger part in number 2, but his brother plays a bigger part, which we haven't met yet. If you ever go back and watch the 1984 version, his brother was played by Sting back in the day. So that's
really,
that was pretty, yeah.
Sting played, the wrestler Sting.
No, Sting the singer.
Movies. Oh, never.
Singer. Man, that's oh please, man, that guy could barely act in wrestling, let alone an actual movie. I mean, it was probably the same level of acting that the Sting the singer.
Oh wow, okay. Totally different Sting. Okay,
different.
I was gonna say, dude, like, damn, I didn't know Sting was doing big things out here. Like you said, he was terrible in wrestling, but yeah. He was just a face.
We got Skarsgård was the Baron, which I didn't even know that was him until I looked up the cast. I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, that was so good. Rebecca Ferguson killed it. Javier Bardem, the Stilgar killed it. I mean, it was just a cast filled with like great actors in it. So super. Timothée Chalamet, whatever his name is. I was kind of like, but then he pulled it off. I liked it.
Oh yeah,
I thought he did a pretty good job as Paul. You know, it got kind of emotional at times, which was good. But yeah, it was pretty good. So the casting for me was so good. But yeah, I mean, overall, the whole thing was pretty solid with acting. You know, the scene cinematography wise, gorgeous to look at. Some of the best, coolest shots like in a movie all this year. And then the music obviously was just, and then you put all three together, you're like insane.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what any other good things before we move on to some of the bad things.
Yes. One last thing that I have, as far as what I liked is, like, I'm a sucker for good storytelling, and so in literature, like, I really paid attention in high school, and so this movie followed the exact same formula for one of the types of a hero's journey. So I think you even mentioned in the synopsis that this was a hero's journey, and so what I mean by that, if for those of you that are still in high school, is pretty much you have a main character, you have your protagonist, right? And in this case, the protagonist is not ready for the journey ahead. He's like the guy that's like, oh yeah, like I think I can do it, whatever. And then like the first chance that he gets to like really show off, like you notice that he's not ready. And so getting closer and closer to like the climax of the movie, you notice that he goes through a transformation. And by the end of the movie, you're like, damn, homie's a whole new character. And that's why I think I totally agree with what you said, that like in the beginning, which I think was on purpose. I think he was supposed to be a weak character that you didn't want to be invested in. But the fact that the screen kept showing up on his face, you're like, okay, he's changing slowly, winning me over little by little. And then by the end, very well done by the whole transformation that he made. Not physically, I'm talking just internally. Like at the very end, he knew what was what. He was making like leadership type decisions, and he just, man, he killed it. He did the whole hero's journey. Google it. Hero's journey. The movie like followed it, and it did very well. I think by doing that, the movie was like a home run just for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it took a very like a hero trope kind of movie, you know, especially like a young man or a young boy kind of becomes a man, becomes a leader, and blah blah blah. But originally the book was written in 1965, and right now I'm just reading, like, it was praised for being one of the first major ecological science fiction novel, and spawned decades of subsequent novels and on-screen adaptation. So, hey, what's up, Mark?
I see you, Mark. What's up, bro?
So it just like they were able to take different things like the ecological science fiction. You know, it was like every world is a planet kind of thing. You know, What other place did that? Star Wars. You know, I mean, Star Wars ripped off so much from Dune, like so much.
I can see it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was just a story that took like a good idea, you know, where like, oh, a hero's journey, throw in a bunch of sci-fi, a bunch of crazy stuff, and like amplify it. It's just like it gets really, really good, you know. And another one like that reminded me of that. I know it's like super off topic, but is Invincible on Amazon, which is based on the comic book that's being turned into the animated show. Same thing, man. You know, young boy doesn't know his powers, is figuring his powers out. And by the end, he's a completely different person, you know? Like you wouldn't even know if like that and this, you know, were the same person. You know, and Paul definitely goes through that transformation, and he's still just started. You know, how this movie ended is he just started. They even Zendaya Shani says that, she goes, oh, this is just the beginning of your journey, Paul, or whatever she says at the end of the movie. You know, so I was like, flat out, they just tell you flat out he's just becoming a badass, you know. So but what are some of the bad things that you didn't like about the movie?
Not too many bad things from what I picked up. I will say, let's see, what was a bad thing? I really got to think about that one. I guess I would have loved to see more of the dad. Did he die, by the way? Spoiler alert, but did he die?
Yeah, he's dead.
Damn.
Spoiler alert. So, my girlfriend asked, she goes, is he gonna die? I'm like, I don't want to tell you. She goes, is he gonna fucking die? I'm like, I don't want to tell you. She goes, is everyone gonna die? I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you. She goes, you better tell me. I'm like, everyone dies. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, everybody dies. She goes, what the fuck? She got like angry because she's like, you know, because you like how you are. You get an attachment. You're like, he's so good. I like him. Like, he's a good leader. He's a good person. You know, because all the stuff that the Duke, you know, which is Oscar Isaac, he's like, damn the Spice, save the people.
Yeah,
you know, no one's used to that, you know, in that world. So, you know, he was just a good person.
He was a great leader himself, which is why he's the Duke. And so I was hoping. So the way he dies, again, spoiler alert, if you're not ready for this, we are the spoiler king, so what are you doing here? But anyways, no, I'm kidding. But what really like got me was like, oh man, like I don't want him to kill him, because they could have went a different direction. They could have like injured him to the point of where he's like paralyzed or something, and he could still have like words of wisdom for his son that's gonna, I guess, take up the mantle, right? I was hoping they were gonna go that direction, but when he died, homie was naked. That was just bogus the way he died.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't remember that. I guess it makes sense because you're like, oh, I don't want any tricks, you know. Like literally, and no tricks up his sleeve if he's not wearing any clothes, you know. So that's what I kind of was getting at, why they did that. But yeah,
the way he died was conflicting for me. That was the only part I would say that really had me lingering for like more than what I should have, and it was just because he's like I guess taken hostage or something by these guys. What were those guys? The one dude that looks like the Harkin. There you go. There's one dude that looks like. Yeah, the one dude looked like Kingpin from Marvel, big old dude. He goes and he's about to like reach for him or something, or kill him, or I don't know what. And damn, his name again, Oscar Duke Leto. He like unlocks a gas or something. Like he said, you know, bad breath engaged. He just like breathed on the dude, and then everybody dies in the room. Yeah. That was something that just kind of confused me for a second. It was just like a weird curveball, and then I'm like, wait, if he did all that, did he like melt his clothes off with his breath? Like I don't know. That whole thing was just a little confusing. So after that, everything gets, you know, back in motion to where I understood it. But I was like, why did that have to happen? But that's probably about it.
Yeah.
I did like the ending, but I kind of felt like they were ripping off a scene from what's that movie? From Black Panther. So yeah, let me explain. So in Black Panther, right, Killmonger challenges the Black Panther for being king or whatever, right? And so, and then how do they do that in that movie? Well, they fall to the death, and then whoever was win would take, you know, the throne. And here, closer to the end, Paul goes through like a similar experience where someone challenges him. They're like, hey, he's a weak boy. Like, you know, fuck what you heard. You're not going to have this guy, you know, come to our group or whatever. Not that he was going to lead with them. They just thought like, oh, he's a young kid. Like, hey, he looks kind of strong. You know, let him chill with us. And homie, which is played by Bab, I can't even pronounce that last name. Yeah, Babs. But he plays Jamis. He did so good. Yeah, like challenging him. I was almost kind of rooting for him, which is fucked up. I'm that kind of guy to where I kind of like to root for the bad guy. And so in this instance, I'm like, oh man, he wants all the smoke. He's just not giving an F. He just. I was like, man, it was a sight to see. So I kind of like disliked that. I know they didn't steal it from that movie. I know it wasn't even like done the same way, but those are the vibes that I got and I was hoping for it to go, I guess, a different direction. What direction? I don't know. I'm not a movie writer, but
well, he had Paul saw the visions where right before they were about to fight, he was seeing different visions of Jameis winning or Jameis winning, you know, and where Paul would die. So you know, there was that possible ending, you know. So yeah, but it was kind of like one of those things, you know, and he had visions of James earlier, you know, where they're like buddies, they're friends, and he's like, I'm gonna teach you the way of the desert, you know, and stuff like that. So that's why it got that part got a little confusing. You know, it's like, you know, why did he see him and now he's killing him, but now he just saw him kill him, kind of thing. Well, now that we're kind of in the more spoiled territory, so part of Paul's powers is he can see different realities. So kind of like the Doctor Strange. I think like with my girlfriend, I was like, kind of. So like he's a chosen one by the Bene Gesserit, which was his mom's like tribe of like these like witches. He's one of the possible like chosen ones. So he has this power to see different paths, and he's supposed to choose the golden path, it's called. So every time he sees things, so there was a version and is a reality where he was friends with him, you know, and there was a reality where James killed him, you know. So there's all these different realities he's running in his head, and he has to pick the right path the whole time, you know, like so kind of thing. So that's why it's like it's why he has all those visions, is because he's seeing the future, but it might not be the future, because that might not be the future he chooses to go with, kind of thing, you know, like the same thing he saw Duncan get killed and he wasn't sure what was going on. So he's like, I need to go with you to protect you. It was like, well, you know, he died anyway, you know, so spoiler.
I guess what would have, I guess, helped me close out the movie with me being more content would have been after the fight, right, where Paul wins. I would have thought like all the Jamis' crew would have like respected him more, or like there would have been like a realization like, oh my God, he is the real one. Like I was hoping for something like that. After the fight, they all like put Jamis to rest. Jamis, right? Am I saying that right? Yeah, Jamis to rest.
Jamis. Yeah.
And then they just like keep it moving. Like I was waiting for that emotion to be shown off to where they're like, oh snap, like we didn't see this coming. And then also from Zendaya's character too. Though what I was talking about earlier was that she gave like a pep talk to Paul, and she was like, hey, you're gonna lose, but you know what? It'd be cool if you lost with this cool ass knife that's made out of like a worm's tooth. And like I said, she was just kind of an ass by saying that, like assuming that he's gonna lose the fight. She's like, yeah, Jamis is a good ass fighter. You're definitely gonna lose, but here you go anyways. You're gonna die with honor. She assumed he was gonna lose, and I was hoping from her that she would have been like, oh, I was wrong, or like something. I was missing that last little piece, and that's the only complaint that I have. If that
they give a quick little, because I think once James dies, James dies, it cuts to Zendaya and she's kind of like just like, well, you know, but it's really quick, and they don't like do it like that, but they kind of will.
okay,
you know, kind of, but yeah, I mean the whole like fighting for who's in charge is it's another trope, you know, it's another like thing where you think of like very primal, primitive kind of beings, like the strongest is the leader kind of thing, you know. So Jessica like bested Stilgar, you know, and now he's like, oh, you're not good enough to be leader. You know, a woman beat you, you know. So then that's where, you know, Paul steps up. But also like one thing is his House Atreides is like these great fighters, you know what I mean? Like they're some of the best one-on-one fighters like in the galaxy, you know. So he's like been trained since a child by some of the best fighters in ever, and plus he has the power of his mom's witchy tribe, you know. And you know, so that's why it's like, oh, like you got the voice and you can whoop somebody's ass, you know. And that was one thing what I really liked was that when they're fighting and he's fighting him, and then he like keeps telling him like, "Do you yield?" And James is like screaming because he's getting pissed because he's like, "Are you gonna mess with me?" And then Stilgar is like, "Oh, is he toying with him?" He goes, "No, he never killed him, man." And Stilgar is like, "Oh, like he's still innocent." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like it's kind of like changes the whole vibe of the fight because you're like, "Oh, it's just two guys fighting, or one of them's gonna die." But you're like, "Wait, this guy's never killed anybody, and now he's fighting, for like to be in charge, kind of thing." So it's like, whoa, and I like that whole part where you hear the voices like, "Oh, in order for like Paul Atreides needs to die," kind of thing, and when you kill somebody, you kill yourself, kind of thing. So it was like a whole little metaphor. So once he killed him, his innocence, and he's beginning the real transformation of being this person. But the biggest thing I hated in this movie was the freaking whispering. I hated it. Hated it. Like there's the whole scene with Jessica and Paul where they're like out in the rain after the Bene Gesserit like tested him, like whatever, I forgot what her name is, the high grandmother or whatever, tested Paul, and they're like in the rain, and Paul's like, "I know what you did." I'm like, "What? I can't hear you. Like, what the fuck are you saying?" And then Jessica's like crying, whispering, and the whole time I'm like, "What are you saying? Like, I can't hear you." And I heard other people that reviewed the movie say the same exact thing. One dude said like he was in the Dolby Digital, super crazy sound, theater, and he's like, it was still hard to understand some of them. So that's the biggest thing I didn't like. There are sometimes I get it, like you're crying and whatever, but the whole first quarter of the movie is Paul just like talking through his teeth, like he's like, "Why are you doing that?" I was like, "Speak up, motherfucker." It's so annoying. Like,
that's fair.
Saying? Yeah. So, but after a while, like I think I don't know if that's like also the progression of him as a character, where he was a little bit more timid. And by the end, like the mom's like, "Oh, we need to get off planet." He's like, "No, we stay." It's like, "Oh, you're not whispering now." So so that was the only thing I didn't mind. When they did the voice and it has that weird sound in it, I thought that was pretty cool. I know a lot of other people said they didn't like it. It was hard to understand, but I'm like, when they're using the voice, it's not like major dialogue. Like it's usually like, "Come, set me free, kneel," like just random like commands. But yeah, the biggest thing that the stupid whispering was really hard to understand a few times. But besides that, I don't really got too many other complaints.
Let me ask you. So, kind of piggybacking off of what you just said, right? You mentioned about having a hard time listening to them. Are you a type of guy or a type of person that likes to watch movies with the subtitles while you watch it?
It depends on the movie. I think something like this, I didn't, but the second time I watched it, I did have subtitles just because I wanted to see what I missed when they were whispering.
Okay. So I'm the type where I watch, if it's a movie I'm watching at home and I have the option, I will always put on subtitles. I'm very weird like that. And like, even the wife, Oli, she likes to watch the subtitles too, which I'm so glad, because a lot of times you watch movies with somebody else and like you throw on the subtitles, like, "Hey, what are you doing, man? I'm not trying to read the movie. I want to watch the movie." And it's like, I get it, But I myself like to have the subtitles on just for the simple fact of things like this, where I have a hard time hearing, or let's say, me, I think I've never been diagnosed, but I think I have ADD, and so I have a hard time kind of paying attention to certain things. So like I will literally like turn my head and look away and like do something else for a second and then come right back, and like I've missed the dialogue, but sometimes you can still see the subtitle there on the screen. So I'm like, I'm a fast reader, so I'll just be like, "Oh, cool, that's what they said," and resume, play. But that's just an interesting thing that I wonder if more people do that. If you are watching this right now, tell us in the comments, are you a subtitle person or do you just watch it just to watch the action?
Yeah,
that's something interesting to kind of,
Yeah, which I mean, for me, it's like like movies where you have to like pay attention. Like I definitely like to read like movies that are very high action. I was like, you can kind of figure it out. This one was a lot of both. Like you need to listen in the beginning and a lot of the other parts, and then there's times where action was like crazy and things exploding and people dying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that was one thing I was like with the Duke. My girlfriend got really upset when he got betrayed by the doctor. Like, she's like super upset because that was another like trope which I don't like, and she really didn't like it. Was they're like, why is he gonna betray this guy that he like loves, like as a family member, the Duke, loves his son, loves the mother, like part of the family. Why are you going to betray him to help out some guy because he got your wife? And I get it. It's like, you'll do anything for love, but it's also like he already knows she's being tortured and stuff like that. So it's like, I think he said they're pulling her apart like a doll. You think she's gonna be alive? And you think these guys are gonna like uphold their word because they're men of honor? And they never are. Like, never ever. Like the bad guys never keep their word. And obviously in this one they didn't. But and that was kind of like the trope, like a very tropey kind of very, very, very tropey thing that I'm like, whatever. But she was like kind of like pissed off about it because obviously Oscar Isaac dies. And he was a really great character in this one, so it was a kind of a thing. But yeah, he's the one that put the fake tooth in there, kind of like a cyanide kind of tooth, which was kind of cool. So he's like, even if I don't get my wife back, you can still get the last laugh. And kind of, but not really, because the Baron survived, which also pissed off my girlfriend. She's like, how did he survive? I was like, he floated to the ceiling where there was no poison, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. They don't really get too much into it. But there's like little things like that where if those kind of plot points where it does things to move the story annoy you, that's definitely one. But that's kind of more or less how the book is too. So it is what it is with that. But yeah, man. I can't think of any other bad things. I can talk good things about this movie like all day and stuff like that because there's just so much. Batista's character was amazing. I love him. He just had that stupid look. I was like, why does it look so good? They gave him the weird like all black eyes and he's in all black and he looks like they made him lighter, like white-ish, like very, very pale. So I thought that was like cool. And he's standing there like, oh, this stupid face, this stupid look on his face. So yeah. But
I have one question that I don't know if it was discussed or not. Maybe I missed it. But is there any significance behind the I forgot what they're called, the people that have like blue in their eye?
The Fremen?
The Fremen, there you go. Fremen. Yeah, what's that about? Is that something that's even worth talking about? It was just a cool look to them.
Yeah. They're native, so the spice is so much in their system that it turns their eyes blue. So it's like kind of I don't know, like something like that. Like if you're in certain parts of even like the world, like or Earth, our Earth, your body starts to adapt and change, and that was like a side effect of just being born and raised and living in this spice your entire life, so stuff like that. So yeah, it just kind of sets them apart from everyone else. But yeah, I mean, this one we haven't got too much into the whole religion issue-ish. He kind of mentions it when he has that big vision in the tent with his mom. He's like, oh, there's religious people fighting for my name and blah blah blah. That's when like things get really but yeah, there's a whole religious kind of battle in one of the books. So but you even can see like here like the different like the trade House of Trades would be more like Eastern civilization where they're more like respectful and honorable, and then you get like the Harkins who are more like brutish, like stuff like that. But even like I think their translation like Latin or Greek is like Atreides means like some kind of like fighter or something like that. It's something along the line of like bullfighter, something. And Harkin is like whatever language it derived from, means like bull. Yeah. Okay. So right there, that gives you a lot. If you're like you're a linguist, and Frank Herbert did a lot of that shit where things mean different things. Same with like the what they call them, the Hazarak, something Hazarak.
I'm looking. I don't
know. But yeah, I mean, they give them all those like weird names.
Yeah. Stilgar, Dufir Hawat.
He gets like what Paul gets like his name, what the people are calling him.
Okay.
And then also he also has another name from the Genie Benuit or the Bene Gesserit. Give him a name for like their like Messiah kind of prophecy guy. He's got a bunch of different names, and he kind of like changes his own name at one point too. The Mudadib, I think Mudadib.
Yes,
the name of the little mouse. If you remember the little mouse, which kind of plays a big role in his decision making ish kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, this is one of those things where like everything means something. Even the names that they give them, like mean stuff. So, but it's cool. Even like the whole bullfighting thing is House Atreides in the books. They're able to trace their lineage back to ancient Greece, like our time, ancient Greece. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And now they're 11,000 something AG. So they're already past AD. So
damn.
So yeah, I think I was watching something. They said they did the math, and they're like, from like right now, it's about 22,000 years in the future from us right now. So it's like, wait, but like that's why like House Atreides is this like very noble thing. Like they're able to like take their lineage all the way back to like actual like humankind on Earth kind of stuff.
Whoa.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Anything else before you?
No, I'm just wondering how it did at the box office, how other people review the movie. I know, kind of got our take a little bit, but you want to do our reviews?
Yeah, we'll do our reviews before we get into
reviews.
Oh no shit, I'm in the wrong. I was like, oh, that's why our thing doesn't look right. There we go. All right. So break it down.
So the way we review movies over here at the Nerd Huddle, us Spoiler Kings review movies either one of three ways. We're either gonna rate it watch now, a watch later, or a watch never. A watch now means you got to drop everything that you're doing and catch this movie right now. A watch later means the movie's okay, but you can kind of put it on the back burner. It's not priority. And a watch never means don't even give this movie any time of day. Don't give them your money. Just stay away. What do you think about the movie?
I think it's pretty obvious. This is a now for me. Dune has got to be probably my favorite movie of the year so far. There's still some other movies coming out. Eternals, I've been trying to avoid stuff. And obviously Spider-Man's coming out. But this one, I knew I was going to like it. I was really hoping I was going to like it when I first saw it. And it completely blew me out of the water. It how great it was. It just, the acting, the music, everything, just the way it looked, the way it felt, the story, it was just so good. So this is definitely like a watch now, especially if you're an old fan from the old Dune or read the books and stuff like that. I think you're gonna like love it, absolutely love it. So yeah, what about you, man?
For me, I kind of went in blindly watching this movie. I did not watch the 19 I forgot the year. The older Dune movie. Yeah. I haven't read the book, but I almost could swear I tried to read it, maybe when I was younger, Maybe it was for school. I'm not really sure, to be honest. But I have like almost flashbacks to this story. Except for the names. The names don't ring a bell at all to me. But if I had to rate this movie just based off of cinematography, the casting, the ending was pretty nice. I will rate it a watch now as well. It's definitely a watch now because it just touched all my senses the right way, and I love that.
Yeah, it was definitely done very well. And I usually a lot of the other directors that like bitch and moan about like my movie's meant to be seen on the big screen, you know, like Patty Jenkins did it for Wonder Woman 1984. I'm like, if I would have saw that in theaters, I would have been pissed. You know, I mean, I was still kind of pissed because it was a shitty movie, but it was like if I would have like spent like theater money on it, I would have been pissed. So this movie, so real quick, would you watch it again?
Ooh, good question. Definitely, I would watch it again. I want to like catch even the small stuff. That's all good of a movie. I think this is I want to catch some of the small stuff, kind of like you mentioned, where everything means something. I want to catch all those little Easter eggs. So yeah, I would definitely watch it again. I've only watched it once, but what about you? How many times have you watched it? I think you kind of mentioned it, and would you watch it again?
So I'll probably watch it again. I've already watched it 3 times. So, and it's a 2.5-hour movie. So, it's really, really good, you know, because like I like just sitting down and watching it and enjoying. The first time I watched it by myself, middle of the night, my girlfriend like took some NyQuil because she wasn't feeling well, so she was like passed out, and I just had like a nice, solo time on the couch watching it on the big screen, so that was good. Then I watched it with her, and then I watched it again when I was just like, cleaning up the house and working on podcast stuff. So yeah, I've already seen it like 3 times, so it's really, really well done. So definitely enjoy that. But on Rotten Tomatoes, they gave it the tomato meter by the critics gave it an 84%. So it's technically certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience gave it a 91%. So
wow.
Yeah. So but it's the same thing like when we did Halloween Kills, like it's gonna have its fans, so the fans are gonna like it kind of no matter what, unless it really, really bombs. So the audience score was that's kind of expected. But yeah, the critics liked it, which was pretty good. Let's see, and then some of the critic reviews, for a couple good ones. Screen Crush. It goes a spicy journey to an amazing future. So he gave it a 9 out of 10. Look for some like bad ones. Forbes. He gave it a good rating. Dune is visually a visual feast and a space opera, which is true. That should please fans of the novel despite some small changes, and it's missing the final act. I wouldn't even say it's the final act. I would say it's the second half. So I mean, yeah, it is missing a lot. I mean, there's characters that you don't even know about yet.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for some bad ones, dude. I'm on the whole first page of critics, and I haven't not seen a bad one yet.
No way. Wow.
Let's see. Here we go. We got one. World of Real gave it a bad one. Yeah, C plus, which is probably still not too bad. But it said it feels like half a movie, which it is, all set up, no payoff. Primary intention of world building before hopefully going to kill shot in the sequel. So he's just basically like they're setting up for that. But I'm like, yeah, but it's also like this reminded me a lot more of like Kill Bill. Kill Bill is 2 movies, but it's one thing. You can't watch the first one without watching the second one. Like it's not a story. It's just like a half a story. So but it doesn't make one better or one worse than the other. You know what I mean? They're both amazing films that number one ends right when the journey is gonna like kick it up a notch. Same thing with this. It's like it's not ending yet. This is not the end of the story, but like now it's gonna be up the ante. So that's some of that. And then as of today, like I said, the sequel is coming out. They already have a release date of October 2023. So we got about 2 years before we get the damn sequel, which sucks.
Snap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So this is kind of how it is. But Warner Brothers, they kind of suck at this shit because they just don't learn their lesson, because the whole DC stuff, it's like, if you're gonna do a big opera or big storytelling, then if it's gonna be in parts, then you should set it up before. They're like, oh, this is gonna be a trilogy. Cool, people understand that. Same thing with Marvel. Once you decide like, oh, this is a phase, you're like, oh shit, how many phases are we gonna get? And they shot themselves in the foot with the DC thing. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna make 15 movies that are all gonna revolve around the same universe, and then they have one bad movie and they're like, oh yeah, no, forget that, we're done. Like, get out of here, Zack Snyder. So because Zack Snyder was supposed to have like a 15 movie DC thing, which I think was a bad idea, because I'm like, Zack Snyder doesn't make that great of movies, which is my opinion. But yeah, so box office wise, Dune made $40 million North America. It was expected only 30 million, so it did better than expected, because it also is on HBO Max. I think that's how me and you both watched it. So it kind of shows that, like, hey, if people, I really think I might go to the movies to see this, even though I see it 3 times. I probably want to see this in the this movie is definitely worth it. Like going to an IMAX or the Dolby Digital thing with having the big screen or the big sound and stuff like that. I kind of want to see that just because it's visually so amazing. So I might probably go to the movies to go see it for the 4th or 5th time. But globally, it made $220 million globally.
Said how much? 220.
Yeah.
That sounds like just way too much money. We could probably save like third world countries with that money. That's nuts.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But this is the biggest opening weekend for Warner Brothers this year. So the whole Warner Brothers,
Brothers. Yeah, right. Yeah. They need a win on their side.
They need something, but yeah, this one was pretty good. And because of the good numbers, we're finally getting a sequel, which is super annoying. That like, oh, we're only gonna tell half the story, but if it does bad, we're just gonna forget about it. I was like, that's stupid. Like, you're setting yourself up for fail, and luckily it did well.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I when I read that today, I got pretty excited. I was like, oh yes, like I want to see this thing end, because even if it continues past the first book and goes into the other books and stuff like that, because there's so much other story, like,
how many books? Is
a lot. A lot.
When you say a lot, there's more than 10.
I don't.
If there's at least 5 books of this, they can make 7 movies, a solid 7 movies.
Let's see. There is. Oh my god.
I see so much potential. 17 books?
And there's another one coming out? So, I mean, because I think Dune is done. Like, Frank Herbert, his are mostly done. But yeah, it's like Dune, Messiah, Children of Dune, which is a big one. That's kind of where I stopped. His reading was there. But yeah, it goes down to like God Emperor, Heretics, Chapter House, and then it starts breaking down some of the houses, Sandworms of Dune. Yeah. So and then there's a bunch of, and then so those are all just that. So there's 8 in line, and then there's 1, 2, 3. There's a bunch more prequels. So
wow,
bunch of prequels, which is pretty cool.
I think it's safe to say if they knock it out of the park with this second movie, I see another 5 movies coming out of this. That's what I think.
If they do it right.
If they
which
keep on the same
I think
track.
they do. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure, I think the director's coming back. I think all the casts that are alive are going to come back. Stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. There's a few scenes that they cut out because Patrick Stewart was in the original. don't know if you remember or you've never seen it, but Patrick Stewart.
No. Patrick Stewart, you talking about
Picard, Professor X.
Professor X, there you
go.
Oh, no way. Did he have hair then?
Star Trek. No, well, maybe he might have had the side hair. The dude always looked old, man.
I swear he did. Yeah.
But he played Gurney Halleck, Josh Brolin's character.
Okay. Oh, badass.
But yeah, if you got a free night and you want to watch something you don't know what to watch, I would recommend watching the original one, just to get a little bit more appreciation of how good this one is.
Okay.
And then it kind of sets up the story of where it's gonna go. And obviously, if it's gonna do it better than that movie, but yeah, it's gonna lead into a lot of other stuff. Where you kind of hype yourself up more. Yeah, it sounded like a fart at first. I was like, oh, but all right, man. Let's get out of here. But that is it from us this week. So unfortunately, we didn't go live this week. Some things came up, so this one is only on VOD for you guys. So let us know in the comments what you think about the movie. Are you gonna give it now, later, never? Are you excited about the sequel? Stuff like that, and all the good stuff or bad stuff that you like about Dune. Yeah. Anything else, man?
No. I think everyone should watch this movie and take advantage of the theater. Watching in the theater, watching it on a small device or even on your like 60-some inch won't do the movie justice. It's that good.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Yeah, there we go. One last thing that we'll get out on was the Harkins have their little singing that they have. Let's see if we There you go. There you go. That's how we're gonna end the show.
That's exactly how I sound in the morning after a hangover. That's exactly how I sound.
That's how I sound every morning before my coffee. So
that's good.
All right, guys. Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next week. Later.